difference between us is that I can feel pain.
Sounds like a real boogeyman once Freddy's coming for you.
Not to mention the fact that you're talking to a dead guy.
There's someone else in the hotel with us. There's a crazy woman in one of the rooms.
It's got a death curse.
This isn't science. It's more like black magic.
Your specimen has been processed, and we are now ready to begin the test proper.
Hello, my Not-Owl friends, and welcome to a very special episode of Pumpkin Hill Radio. I'm your host, Travis Wormwood, and with me, as always, is your co-host, and my co-host, and my host, and your host, Dawson Trailer.
Nice.
Welcome to Pumpkin Hill Radio. Every week, we dig into esoteric topics, paranormal mysteries, and high strangeness of the highest order. We're no masters of this, but we're going to teach us all. We're just digging the research we can, and learning together. So with that being said, welcome to the Cult of the Star Mother. That's the cult you joined just by listening. You can join further levels of the cult by going to patreon.com/pumpkinhillradio. We have tons of cool Patreon stuff going on right now. We'd love for you to get involved. We're both doing, there's like 3 episodes of the Pumpkin Hill Radio Network going off every week now, basically, between Dawson's Diaries, Chaos Control, Paranormal News, and Pumpkin Hill Radio proper over here. So just, if you're looking for something weird, we got it here now. I promise you we got it.
Yeah.
Check the YouTube. Dawson's been going nuts. Thanks to all the paying Patreon members and all the free Patreon members. It really helps us to have you sign up, even on the free tier, because you do get some bonuses, including like the first 18 episodes of the podcast. They're behind that free tier of the Patreon, just so if you wanted to check that out for all the new listeners, because we do have a lot of new listeners probably on this one. So what's up to y'all? Also, just real quick, sign up for the Signal. That's our monthly newsletter. You can get paranormal updates, updates on our giveaways, weird finds right to your inbox. Subscribe at the pumpkinhillradio.com. That's where you can find links to all of our socials as well. Really quick, thanks to our ghost host this week, Allison Anderson.
Yo.
What up, Allison? Thanks for joining the Patreon. We really appreciate it. If you want to shout out, join the Patreon and you'll be next up. Horror this week, Dawson?
Did you hear about the news with the pyramids?
Yeah,
in Giza?
Yeah. And like every single person I know is telling me. I literally just responded to a message that I got on Instagram about it from one of the regulars at the bar.
So what the heck's up with that?
So
giant pillars.
So what Dawson's talking about for the uninformed, they were able to do LiDAR scans below the pyramids. That's when they can scan the earth beneath it. Yeah, they're doing that currently in places like the Amazon and stuff, where they can see beneath the canopies and actually see all these
all these structures.
There's literally
cities.
Thousands of pyramids hidden under
the whole
dirt
thing was like.
But now in the pyramids in Giza, they did this, and there are these 6 or 8 pillars stretching down from beneath it that connect into these 4 humongous cubes the size of the pyramid itself, kilometers beneath it.
Yeah,
right?
Giant fucking pillars.
So this is a free energy battery.
Yeah. Well, also I've come across the theory that the pyramids all around the Earth are balancing weights to keep the Earth in a certain rotation. Okay. Keep it from wobbling too much.
Okay. I like that. I've been telling people that the Earth lost its magnetism years ago, and I've been just using my psychic ability to spin the thing.
Yeah. No, it's
so yeah, I can actually, dude, I can relate that. I'm like,
it was the last little diaries I had. I was watching if you watch that, I'm watching videos of a guy giving a lecture on it in the 90s. Mm-hmm. Old video, bad quality, but it's what he's like. What the pyramids are they're these balancing weights to keep the fucking spin right.
Interesting.
Yeah, on the hollow earth shit. Yeah. And these then after I did while I was watching that, it was that week that shit comes out about the pillars. I'm like, oh, that just adds up. Yeah. This is all adding up. So that just makes sense. They're super huge anchoring weights, anchor weights.
I could see that. I could see it being a multi-function because for me, I was like, that's a free energy battery. That is because you see, it's you used to have the gold. You used to have the gold cap, whatever, and all the buildings before the 1900s had this gold cap from
these fucking
Tesla energy field
pillars coming out,
dude.
Free energy. Fucking
this is gonna go great with our story today. Yeah. Now, last week I presented the story as if you weren't gonna know what it was. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I said the story and it kind of led up to what the paranormal investigation was gonna be about.
Yeah.
Now, for the listeners, they have titles on the episodes, so they know what it is.
Yeah.
So I can't be as mysterious as I'd like to, because I still want the search engine to be able to find it if people want to see it. But we are dealing with the Philadelphia experiment today. Yeah, and I have a lot of cool stuff.
I've heard of this. I purposely didn't do any research on it. I want you to teach me about it.
I got enough.
I want you to teach me about it.
I got enough. This could have been like a 4-part thing because
as always.
If you join the Patreon, you'll see we had a second part of our Nazi magic episode, basically, like the Nazi tech. And by like 2010, they have all these government documents for like wormhole fields and things. And it's like I was able to relate them like directly to it. So we will get into that right after horror this week. For me, I just wanted to do a little more. You know how it is. The people got to wait for the show. I just got to talk about horror this week for a second. It is last call. If you're listening on the day of release, you have exactly 1 day to join this month's giveaway on the Instagram. So if you just go to the link from our website, pumpkinhillradio.com, to our Instagram, it's the first pin post on our Instagram. Every month we're running it. You'll get a free shirt, some pins, some stickers, some really cool stuff, all just sent to your door, just on my dollar. It's all good. Just sign up for it. We got a lot of people doing it. Just like and share it, and you can join that. Again, you got about 1 day to do it if you're listening. And if you're listening later on, just go and there's going to be one every month. So just check in on it. Check in whenever it is.
On it.
There's one friend, I'm going to keep him anonymous, but has been telling me his like perils in sleep paralysis like as of late over the past like couple months. And I might have mentioned it at a different time. Like he had this like, see if it was sometimes he was seeing this woman with no face or like a fucked up like flickering face, and then like the last time he had it there was like a group of like 3 beings like above him, and he said he could like this time he could like feel everything, and like it was like the frequencies of like every single item in his room, like he could feel like see the vibrations and everything. He was like on that other plane. It was pretty cool. I was like trying to coach him through like a little bit of how to like work with it and like kind of like make it some sense for him a little bit, and like also to like progress within that, because I'm like you're at a gateway where like you could actually go further now if you wanted
Something's
to.
happening. Yeah.
Just really interesting stuff. I'm like, and he is a person that is generally not at all into like mystical stuff. Nothing like that. He's just like a hardworking dude. So it's like when he comes up and he's
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just like also been talking about.
I appreciate it. Like every couple weeks he's like, something's weird. I'm like, that's sweet.
She's going nuts.
Also. Horror this week, I went ahead and pre-ordered a copy of this original, the movie Terrifier from 2016.
Oh yeah.
I ended up buying part of my Chaos Control Paranormal research. Ended up just me like finding this VHS tape of Terrifier. It's like glow in the dark. I don't know. It's like the director like okayed it, but it's just like a VHS glow in the dark Terrifier tape. I don't have a VHS player. I just bought it. I was like, there was like 200, it was limited to 250 of them.
Yeah.
I'm probably, I don't know. If someone's interested, you can just look it up. I'm sure there'll probably be a few left. But inside some of these VHS tapes, whatever, inside the little the holder for it. What do you call that? The case? Inside the case.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know mostly big words nowadays. Small words are beyond me now. No, inside the director Damien of Terrifier, he like has written some specific notes and like signed some stuff in there. So I'm like, maybe I'll be lucky and get one of those. Also, the Red Temple Oracle is going strong. The Kickstarter will be going soon. So if you've been interested in that, just keep your ear out. I will be posting all about that soon. That's been a lot of work. That's the Oracle deck, the divination deck that we've been building here. And one last thing, we are going to be starting to work on these limited run series of clothes with Austin, our tattoo artist friend, who was on a recent episode. We're going to do twice yearly drops with some really cool like tattoo shop style, like trad art, like traditional art style designs. Yeah. We're going to give them some like paranormal ideas, and we're just going to do like 50 of them like twice a year and just see how it works. I think they're going to look really cool. So listeners, if you're looking for like merch that isn't just the logo, these are going to be limited runs, really cool stuff. Anything horror for you, Dots, before we get into the big show?
Nah, it's just the pyramids I've been thinking about.
I made a we'll do an episode on that. We'll do like a user reply episode soon, because I've been getting a lot of messages about that and other things, and like
we're gonna need to like have a good update on that as that shit comes out. But
also like weird paranormal news is like the dude from Ghost Adventures, like his wife murdered him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like
someone was telling me about that too. I was like,
also I might try to start like a true crime show, because somebody told me that they would like to hear true crime, and they said that like they would rather listen to us talk about it than the current show they're listening to.
So
I was like,
we can do true crime.
But we'll see what happens.
There's room for all of it.
I want to keep it separate than like the Red Temple proper though, just because this is for the weird shit only.
Pumpkin Hill true crime.
Yeah, I mean I'll make sure that's all interesting too. But keep your ears out. We got shows burning on all ends right now, so
it's all happening.
Let's get into it.
Let's go.
In the fall of 1943, during World War II, a ship was docked to the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard, a Navy destroyer escort called the USS Eldridge. On October 28th of that year, that ship became part of one of the most unusual and controversial military experiments ever conducted. According to multiple eyewitness accounts, the Navy was testing a new type of technology that used electromagnetic fields. The stated goal was to make the ship invisible to radar. A step forward in naval stealth technology, but something else happened, something more extreme. People may have heard of this stuff. This is, as the test began, strange equipment on the board. We'll talk about all the fucking tech they got in this ship. It is insane what's going on in this thing.
Yeah.
It's essentially like wrapped in free energy coils, right? Okay. As the test begins, the strange equipment on board the Eldridge powers up. Witnesses see a greenish fog mist surround the ship, and then it disappears. The Eldridge disappears. Not just from radar, but from view. The ship is no longer in the harbor.
Crazy name for a ship.
The
too.
Eldridge, yeah. You're
Come
like,
on
yeah,
now.
come on now.
Come on. What are we doing?
Some said it. There was a report of it reappearing in Norfolk, Virginia, more than 200 miles away for just a few minutes before returning to Philadelphia, minutes later. There were also reports of the ship had traveled not just through space, but through time. When the Eldridge came back, it wasn't the same. Crew members were missing. Some were found embedded into the metal of the ship itself. Others were disoriented and incoherent, and a few were said to vanish again days or weeks later, even in public places in front of witnesses. Other sailors, dock workers, and civilians around saw parts of the effects of this experiment. They described bright flashes, electrical storms, and intense static interference. The Navy quickly dismissed the event. Right, they're just brushing it under the rug. Right, they're saying nothing happened.
It's totally normal.
We have documents, we have letters and testimony that are circulating that point to this as a real thing. This is okay.
Yeah.
So that's where this is This is on the cusp of is this hearsay? What is this? And there's enough documentation that I've been able to collect that it is.
It happened.
It happened. I also remember this is one of those History Channel doc. I remember watching something on the History Channel with my father about this way back when.
Yeah, that's my memory of it too.
The first detailed report came from a man named Carl Allen, who sent letters to the UFO researcher describing what he saw. He claimed to be on a nearby ship during the test, and his account matched others that were what others described, and it started to draw more attention to this thing. Right? Eventually, there's a marked up book about UFOs full of handwritten notes about the experiment was mailed to the Navy. This version of the book became known as the Varo Edition, and its contents suggest the Navy had opened a doorway they could not control. Theories began to grow. Some are saying the Navy had tried to use Einstein's unified field theory to create invisibility. Others believe the experiment had unlocked some kind of dimensional travel. There's all this manipulation
when was this again?
1943, baby.
Okay, yeah.
Right after the war. Right about when we got those Nazi scientists, if you were to call.
Sounds a lot like what Crowley and all that were doing.
Yeah. Well, you're not wrong.
So it's similar,
right, Crowley,
opening these gateways that you can't quite close.
That was more about 10 to 30 years earlier, I think, when Crowley did it. But no, there was something going on here between the mystic movement of the early 1900s into the Nazi magic and all these, this is the World War II. People are experimenting with things that have never been worked on before.
Really getting
into
that.
All happening at once, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't just an attempt at radar cloaking. Yeah. It was something much bigger, something involving teleportation, time shifts, and human consequences. The military still doesn't explain and is still trying to cover up,
classic.
So let's dive into what actually happened here. The ship at the center of this event, the USS Eldridge, was a Cannon-class destroyer escort commissioned by the U.S. Navy during World War II. It measured 306 feet long, displaced 1,240 tons of water, and was equipped with sonar, depth charges, and state-of-the-art communications for the time. Some of the reports of when it disappears, there's not even a wake. It's saying the water displacement is important because it's it goes, and it's not it's water doesn't flush into the area. It just
water
it's
would
just
have to fill
gone.
up. Yeah,
it's just gone.
If you have an ice cube floating and you pull it out, the water's gonna move.
Yeah. Instead, it just The ship
nothing.
is fitted with large electrical cables that wrapped around the hull and connected to field generators stored below deck. When the system activated, witnesses aboard the nearby USS Andrew Furuseth and other docked vessels described a green glow surrounding the Eldridge, followed by a sudden burst of light. The ship then disappears instantly, leaving no ripples in the water.
So weird.
According to internal Navy memos and later leaked reports, the Eldridge was tracked by classified equipment reappearing near Norfolk, Virginia, before vanishing again and rematerializing back in Philadelphia. This all took about 10 to 15 minutes. Aboard the ship, stuff is insane. We're going to get back to that, though, about what happened to the actual people. But it came back. Dock workers, sailors, all of these people that are in, this is like a busy place. Like, that's why it's like hard for the Navy to actually keep this.
Yeah, because people witness it.
Because there's witnesses. There's like dock workers that are like,
it happened.
What is that?
Like, yo,
like green fog and then a flash and then it's just gone.
Yeah.
It's like this huge.
Hey Billy, you
warship,
see that?
This cannon
you
class
see
warship.
That?
Yeah. What the hell is this?
Yeah, Billy.
Dock workers, sailors, and observers described a low hum, a flash of energy, and then the ship phasing back into view as if it were melting into place rather than simply reappearing. The air is like shimmering at this point. The water beneath the hull ripples unnaturally then, and then the ship is returned, right? That's when like we have this real horror story happening. This is where crew is like entangled and like phasing. Yeah. I have some like exact stuff, but okay, let's get into it right now. Witnesses described several crew members embedded into the ship itself.
Yeah. That's like that teleportation like thing where it's like if you like do that you might like accidentally like teleport in a wall.
Yeah. Well, you
or
get
like within like the earth or like a tree.
Atoms from one place to another. It's like you take into account like the rotation of the earth and like the movement through the universe and like you're gonna when you rematerialize or you get in the middle of a ship now, like are you just embedded? There's actually I like the movie Cloverfield, and 10 Cloverfield Lane is good. The Cloverfield Paradox, the third one, is probably the least like good. Right? I still like them all. I have them all on Blu-ray, but there's like a scene in that like would always remind me of this Philadelphia experiment. It's like where they like their like spaceship drifts out to a different dimension and comes back, and when they do, like there's a dude with his arm like in the metal, and he's like, and it's like hurts really fucking bad. You know what I mean? Ow. The molecules are just meshed together. There's like just a face pressing through the fucking wall. So that's like what I'm imagining here, right? Their bodies are half sunk into the steel bulkheads, decks, and walls. Arms and legs and even torsos had fused with the metal as if man and machine were sharing the same space on an atomic level. Some were dead, others were still alive. Their organs crushed, their bones misaligned, and some screaming for help with no way to be extracted. It's like you can't. It's like they're just a part of the ship. You can't pull them out. I mean, you can cut them off of the torso and they die that way. Yeah. So I imagine there was some like mercy killing going on here at this point too. According to multiple sources, 5 men died this way, and others were never found at all. This is like, again, it's the 40s. Your dad, your husband went off to war. He got assigned to this secret thing. They're never going to tell you how it happened. They don't need to tell you how it happened. They just say it's the war. It's the World War II.
Yep. Missing in action.
Yep. Missing in action. Even they can even say it's like a prisoner, like a POW. Yep. Like they could say anything you want. They're just not going to say like he
wasn't like fused with a ship.
They have ways to brush off things like people just disappearing from time and like space. You know, like that's the craziest part. Is like some people just didn't come back. Are they just like floating somewhere?
Like, where
still?
are they? Are they in like another place
in between?
Do they get left behind?
They get like impacted into the ground beneath Norfolk, Virginia. Yeah. Like,
is their fate much worse?
I'm sure it wasn't great.
Yeah.
There's this like freezing and mental disruption here. Several sailors were said to have like complete mental breaks. Obviously, they emerged disoriented, speechless, and repeating these nonsense phrases. Some were seen like. They don't have any memory. They don't know their identity anymore. They just one of them is speaking about being outside of time. It described dark tunnels, lights, and figures watching them while the ship was gone. I'm getting like shivers right now because this is like when we're like they just broke into a different fucking dimension and they're like the Watchers are just there. There are some disturbing reports from
those things watching are probably like what are you guys?
What are you guys doing? You shouldn't be
go back.
You do not do this.
Get back.
So. Crew members began to freeze in place, becoming temporarily invisible or unresponsive, sometimes for minutes at a time. There are a sailor account describes a sailor. Okay, excuse me. One account describes a sailor who vanished mid-conversation in a bar weeks later in full view of witnesses and never returned. I couldn't find like a bunch more on that, but it's just like I mean it's like the early 40s. It just like happens, and then like I'm sure like government officials come in and they're like, you didn't see this.
Yeah, they posted it like one time. They posted in the newspaper. We're like, what happened? And then they're like, we're not talking about that anymore.
It's like war's over. Hey, we won the war.
Yeah, The atom bomb.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's the 50s
Obviously,
now.
the Navy really has no protocol for this as far as we know, but it's like, if there is any protocol, it would be to cover it up.
Yeah.
There's also...
that is the protocol. Hide it.
Also, like, there's, like, literally, like, people, like, clipping. Like, people, like, starting to say a sentence, and then, like, it's like, hey, ha, hey, ha, hey, ha.
Like, total glitch
hey, ha.
in the Matrix.
Yeah, they're, like, glitching, yeah. So this is, like, happening, right? After the Eldritch returned, the crew was immediately dispersed. Some were reassigned overseas. Others were discharged under mental health clauses, medical records. The ones that do exist were never released. The official Navy stance is that nothing happened, and the ship was never even in Philadelphia during the time in question. They just say it wasn't even there, which that's just a lie. Like, that is a lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's where the survivors, the friends and families are telling this other side of the story, right? Several men died under mysterious circumstances within months of the experiment. Probably their atoms just weren't rearranged right, but their organs are just inside each other, right? Others went silent, never speaking about the time aboard the Eldritch again. Probably either bribed or scared fucking shitless by like the government, saying they'd kill everybody they ever knew or even thought about, right? The ship itself was quickly reassigned and eventually transferred to the Greek Navy as if to hide the evidence, right? So we're like, that's not even our ship anymore. It was never there, and it's not our ship.
Yeah. A good way to silence people, too, is like, if you tell anybody, we're going to kill you and whoever you tell.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's going to get erased.
And even people you don't tell, there's people that you might know.
People that you might have told.
Yeah.
Or might, be suspicious.
So that's what's happening with, like, people coming into the bars, and, like, that happens, and it's like, I know, like, there's just, like, government people watching every single person that would have been reassigned. Like, anybody that was on that ship was definitely being watched afterward. So it's like, if they're in a bar, there's somebody like with the newspaper up. You know what I mean? Classic, like black hat, black sunglasses, and it's like, he just phases out. The dude stands up. He's like, y'all didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Whatever. You get all their names and numbers. You go visit their houses. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, they all get indoctrinated with this, like, disbelief.
Just completely gaslit. Be like,
yeah.
That was nothing.
That was nothing.
That guy never existed.
Yeah.
Oh, who?
Didn't you see him walk out the door?
No.
I saw him walk out the door, I'm pretty sure.
No, he definitely walked out the door. Yeah. He was never even here. That guy? Yeah, he was never there.
Yeah. That's like, especially like during this time, like now in the 2020, 2025, wherever the hell we are, maybe we are transferring through time as well, but it's like there are things in place. We talk about like every episode. We're trying to push these laws through so we can like have this stuff like talked about it all. But in the 40s and like right at the end of the World War II, like America's trying to rebuild or like put up like a front, like they're trying like at this point there's propaganda from every angle. So the first source that brought this into the public awareness was Carl Meredith Allen, also known as Carlos Allende. In 1955, Allen began sending letters to author. This was 8 years later. Allen began sending letters to author and researcher Morris K. Jessup, who had written a book called The Case for the UFO. In his letters, Allen describes the experiment in detail and claimed to have witnessed it from a deck of a nearby merchant ship, as we had talked about. That's where, then we get this annotated copy of Jessup's book. Is sent to the Navy Research Office of Naval Research, and the book was filled with margin notes written in 3 different handwriting styles, referencing alien tech, teleportation, and the Philadelphia experiment. That's the Varo Edition, as we said earlier, named after the Texas company that printed it for military use. Only a few dozen copies were ever made, and they were distributed internally within the Navy. So they took this Varo Edition, made copies of it with all these notes.
Yeah.
And like distributing this around. So that's
just for fun.
Jessup distributed, disturbed by the attention and the implications of the letter, died under suspicious circumstances in 1959.
Oh yeah,
so about 15 years later. Officially, it was ruled as a suicide. Yeah. That was probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably just killed himself. That guy was nuts.
Most people think he was silenced. Yeah, either because he had discovered too much or because he had begun asking the wrong questions. Basically, that's
saying
he just got too close to the sun there. Right? They're like
Icarus, classic Icarus.
So they killed his ass. There are all these other documents. There's like ship logs, personal transfers, and gaps in official timelines here. The Eldritch Zone service history shows irregularities as well. And though the Navy claims the ship was never in Philadelphia, its movement logs were altered or missing for the key dates in October 1943. Several sailors later said they were warned never to speak of the experiment again. Some were reassigned, disappeared from public record entirely.
Yeah, they're deep underground or just dead.
And so we're not just, and that's where I'm saying, like, we're not just talking about two people telling a story, one or two people being like, whoa. It's like
crew.
dozens,
A fucking
hundreds
whole
of
crew.
overlapping accounts from these sailors, these dock workers, these civilians, these people months later seeing people just vanish, right? That describe the same core event, right?
Yeah.
That's the ship vanished and returned and it was changed.
Yeah.
These names, places, and dates point to something that is real, right?
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, some of these like more classic paranormal things, it's like they can be, like you said, you kind of knew about it. Like a lot of people will know something about it, and it's like, for some reason, we all sort of know something about this ship that literally disappeared and came back. But it's like we all just either are saying okay, or it's like it's pushed away, or you just are made to believe, like disbelieve it.
Memory hold.
Yeah, just like really weird how we have this thing that everybody sort of knows about that is like just magic, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's probably fake.
So
It's too crazy to be real, right?
let's talk about the
again.
tech on this ship a little
Yeah, what
closer.
we got?
It wasn't just like an experiment for cloaking devices. It sounds like maybe they were using that as like a front. That's a pretty good front in the 40s. They're like, try to get this thing off radar. It was a fusion of some of the most dangerous and advanced ideas in theoretical physics, built on a foundation laid by some of the most brilliant minds of the 20th century. That is Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and John von Neumann. We know that Tesla had work with this stuff that the government took. There was documents and
He was working on like the time travel shit, like
free energy. Just talk about that pyramid stuff again.
Teleportation, all that. Yeah.
He had those towers, right, that would emit
Yep.
free energy, basically, and they basically like wrapped these coils that would do that around the ship. They put this like Einsteinian unified field like machine inside of that. Einstein never actually published a complete version of this like theory, but fragments of his work circulate in classified circles. And that's that's one of Einstein's unfinished theories, is like that is being pushed around and probably so basically they have Einstein and Tesla's like maybe not even unfinished, but just like they were taken.
Yeah.
You know, so they have all these documents that are being pushed around these specific
unfinished
Navy circles, army, like, government circles. Yeah. By manipulating electromagnetic fields in a very specific way, it was probably possible to bend space around an object, making it invisible or even shifting its position in time. Now, if we combine that with the work of Nikola Tesla, Tesla died in earlier in 43 that same year, but his influence is still lingering there even today, right? He believed that vibration, frequency, and resonance held the key to manipulate energy and even matter. He had built machines that could cause local seismic effects and experimented with wireless energy transmission, magnetic fields, and high voltage coils that could ignite objects at a distance. Tesla also believed that time and space were fluid and could be altered using the right frequencies, right? We know that some of Tesla's unpublished papers, confiscated by the U.S. government after death, were handed to the military engineers working on Project Rainbow. And some of these documents suggest that the Navy brought in von Neumann, who's this pioneer in quantum theory and like computational physics, to interpret it and like apply Tesla's work within like a military context. Really quick, von Neumann is not as famous as Tesla or Einstein, but he's still a super genius. We can see his name on the von Neumann probes. These are hypothetical probes that we would send out that would be able to completely rebuild itself and create like it would be able to create everything it needs to create like a whole new world. Like it could build another one of itself and like give that one different specification for what it needs to do. So it's a type of machine that would land on an unterraformed world and like build the whole thing.
Create like a base.
It would know how to like find the materials to then create more of itself that could have different things, right? If you there's kind of a tangent, but there's a book series called, I think it's called We Are Bob. And it's from the Bobiverse is like the series, and that it deals in it's like the Earth is like very quickly, like the start of that book, this dude like dies in a car crash, like, and like he wakes up like as his mind has been like his mind is running the von Neumann probe, and he's like a probe being launched out of Earth as the Earth is like blowing up, right? So the start of this book is like this human intelligence inside of von Neumann probe like leaving a destroyed Earth, and then like the series just goes on him like creating more of himself, and like those turn into different factions and all this. It's very cool, very cool stuff. If you want that kind of
who writes that one?
That's fucking
who writes that one?
let's see, Bobiverse. Dennis E. Taylor.
Nice, cool.
Yeah, that dude rocks. I think the fifth one just came out. I read the first 4. That's just a really fun read. It's like it's got a lot of fun, like because like he names himself different. They all have different names. So one of them's like Kirk and Spock, and like they all take these like and it's pretty fun.
That's a good time.
Like I think the fifth one they're trying to find like the center of the universe or figure out what that is. But that's kind of. But just to say like these are super intelligent people that all this technology basically they brought in von Neumann to like apply Tesla and Einstein's work in this military aspect. Witnesses describe massive generators aboard the Eldridge connected to Tesla coils and high-frequency field emitters that surround the ship in a rotating magnetic field. Cables were wrapped around the hull, forming a closed-loop current designed to create a distortion in the local electromagnetic environment. The setup wasn't just to make the ship undetectable, it was meant to fold the ship out of phase with the visible world. And it seems like it worked. The generator
did something.
The generators reached full power. The electromagnetic field expanded, warped, and then collapsed inward.
Okay.
In that moment, the Eldridge blinks out of space, and based on later accounts, reappears 200 miles away. Which is not just teleportation. That's like what they would term as electromagnetic spatial shift. It's like that's the specific type of teleportation that they have a word for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
One that may have altered the ship's relationship to physical laws that anchor it to space and time. Basically, they just threw this thing out into a different dimension and tried to bring it back as if it wasn't gonna. And that's the other thing. Like, I don't know if they were actually trying to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know if like if the story of like trying to be indetectable by radar is a cover up, or if they were like they just totally. Like just totally
unforeseen.
Yeah, I could see basically either
repercussions of something happening like that. It's
either way, though, the things that they figured out are applied all over the place afterwards. We will get into specific stuff.
Well, it reminds me of this kind of shit. Reminds me of like it's like the first test trial of like what happened to like the Malaysian flight.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
where all of a sudden like these things spinning around,
and it's just gone. It's just gone. You're right. Yeah. So for that
kind of shit, and like people getting like voicemails from the people that were on that ship like years later.
So weird.
I
just
don't know.
let's describe that whole thing for just the listeners. That's the plane that went missing in 2014, and there was these
vanished
newer documents, newer videos of the plane and with like these 3 orb-shaped UAP circling around it very fast. I mean, it sounds almost like they're creating this.
It doesn't look real, but like it's one of those videos where it's been like studied enough, and like people have like done like the like video tests, be like, okay, it's not CGI, it's not fake, like it's not like videos edited. It's all one clean fucking thing. It's like a screenshot of like a government computer, like all that shit. It's like it's a very like it was like leaked. It was like someone got it and they're like. Posted it on like 4chan or something, and
that guy's almost 100% dead now.
Yeah, that was like he was on his way out, Yeah.
We'll cover
he
that
was on his way out
sometime. There's the video in question actually is on the Patreon. If you scroll down a little bit, we posted a little bit about it.
We did talk about that for one night,
but just to like frame it a little more, because this is 3 objects rotating around the plane super fast, and then the plane disappears, and it's like it kind of has reminded me of it like maybe. These 3 orbs were somehow able to create that same like closed electromagnetic field. And
well, it seems like a real like archaic version of that. Yeah, they were trying. They're like, let's see what it does to people.
If we just like wrap this thing out, yeah.
We're gonna say it's this, and then we're just gonna like kind of see what it does to a whole crew of people on a ship like this. See if we can really teleport people through time and space. And they probably fine-tuned it at this point, but
like I have to imagine nobody on the ship knew. Like
no.
Okay, what if like definitely like almost nobody knew. What if there's like one dude that was like planted and he's like, just see what happens, guy.
Yeah.
Like I could see that. Like maybe he came back and like was able to tell the Navy about like the other side a little more. Like since he like knew what was gonna happen.
And he's one of the people that went missing.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He's gone.
He's gone.
So again, this
that's part of the deal too. I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Can you let that cat in the door? We got a cat scratching at the door. Check the daily videos on our social media, and you will see. I'm sure you'll see some cats posted because they end up in this on video.
They get in
And
there.
if you're just listening on audio, check the YouTube and you can see us and you can see all Dawson's diaries and other stuff there.
Yeah.
But okay, so this kind of tech isn't just theoretical, right? In more recent decades, we have similar principles applied to stealth tech, these cloaking experiments with metamaterials and quantum teleportation research, which we have some documents for. The difference, though, is that in 1943, the Navy wasn't running a simulation. They built this real system, and powered by this massive electromagnetic energy. Just using theories that the world wasn't basically ready to understand, and that's why it like broke these people. They're not humans just aren't built to
break
phase,
your mind.
You're not built to phase in and out of space.
Well, it's the same as like when like people they were doing like the brainwashing thing, and you give someone like 1 million hits of acid, and their mind's gone. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Gone.
You go to this other realm, you're gone. Yeah. You don't come back. You
Living
can't come back.
biological systems exposed to fields strong enough to shift molecule bonds, disrupt neural patterns, and desynchronize the consciousness from the present moment.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff is happening to these people. Let's talk about even more of the human costs now. I got, let's see if I can find it. I kind of was talking about it. So one quote said that some were said to have become completely bananas, unable to comprehend or articulate their experiences during the experiment.
Yeah. Your mind's mashed potatoes.
This is like, it's not just a physical horror, but it's also this like psychological thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like you just,
Cosmic,
your mind is mashed potatoes.
Elders
Excellent.
horror,
Yeah.
I'd maybe say.
And then there's also these classified documents that are showing that crew members months later, the ones that survived, the ones that are just out doing their thing, they're developing these like mysterious illnesses and suffering these like severe burns out of nowhere, as if they're like phasing into like a spot that would just burn them, or like I don't know what that even is.
Or like they're it's like a weird like decay.
Yes.
You know?
They're like they're like
if you like travel back in time, you're gonna start like disappearing slowly.
Well, yeah, it's like
I
was saying like the what was the word there? Just like the on the atomic level, things just like spreading and like shifting and like detaching. Like if that's like your body just like unraveling like that. Like, super insane.
Or like your molecules are moving too fast, so all of a sudden you're like it just burns.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah,
you just like
friction happening,
vibrating
on
like
your
that
atomic level.
Yeah. Dude, just like tearing you up inside, but your insides are just mush. These ailments were unlike any known medical condition, and at the time, leading to further speculation about the experiment's true nature and its impact on human physiology. So some people are reporting that maybe like this was a planned experiment, and like they wanted to see what happened to the people.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't like, whoops. It was like, this was planned.
Not that much different from like, I think it was the Japanese around that time, or like freezing people's like arms.
Yeah.
And seeing like how that, you know, it's like those like archaic like human experiments of like how does like the human body react to certain things? And this is just really, really intense way to do it.
More on that. There's like, I think the documentary is called Behind the Black Sun or something like that. And that's where
the man behind the sun, I think.
Yeah, it's like that's where they show these Japanese experiments, and that's like
brutal stuff.
The Japanese working with the Nazis basically to like,
they're like
it's just like test humans, right?
It's like just that dark that dark like search for knowledge, you know.
Yeah,
that's a lot of like modern science is like, especially like medical science, like doctors in like the 1700s and stuff, like putting out like bounties for like fresh live bodies. Yeah. So people would like bring them, and it's like no questions asked.
No questions asked. Like,
and you get this money. It's like, you kill the guy, or you bring someone alive still.
Yes, I just found this homeless man.
Yeah, they like kidnap people. Like, yeah, that gets into the. I mean, I'm just connecting dots, but you know, they're like missing 411 thing. Like, you don't think they're just taking people? Like, they definitely are.
Yeah.
There's definitely just abducting people to do these experiments.
Yeah, there's like an extremely dark underbelly of the government, like aside from all the other dark shit, but there's like this human research that I know is just going on. There's labs.
It gets into like ETs too. Like, because like we all know that the world elites have like these deals with these ETs that like want to use us for like experiments, different like food sources sometimes. You know, I've heard a bunch of different like ideas on what it is, but it's like it's these like treaties we have with them where it's like we just take some of the population, we get to do whatever we want with them, and we just leave the earth alone.
Yeah,
We just leave you all alone.
Yeah. Generally, humans are
It's like a weird trade. It's like a prisoner trade, you know?
A few
It's
of
like,
them that are getting mangled and like they're getting like...
And then it's like if these treaties break, then it's like, or like they get renegotiated, more people get used, you know?
Yeah. They're like sewing your head onto a dog body.
Yeah. Taking you...
That's got to be
taking
like...
you in just like you know,
and like
constituting your atoms and taking you
that's
apart.
like the light work too. That's like the easy stuff, you know? Because they're like... They are definitely like human trying to like... What this is showing is that they're trying to like transfer humans to a different place, right? They're trying to be like, if you could do this, but that's probably some military application where it's like fucking teleports you right into the guy's fucking enemy base.
Yeah, right into their mind.
Right into their mind, literally. Yeah, incept you in there.
Or like just transfer them out.
Yeah, like
delete
we just
them.
like shoot.
Hey, delete.
We just like shoot a wave at
imagine
this
like
base and have that
get
base.
you in a computer chair, some VR chair, and be like Control Alt Delete, bang bang, dude.
Boom.
Done.
Send our like 3.
They never existed.
Yeah, it's like if we get like technology
And
like the
then
Malaysian airline with
You
like
can just control everyone else's like perception of it. They never existed.
that is the thing. It
Delete
wouldn't
from-
be.
They
it
like
wouldn't,
it's that like time travel thing where like you come back and like people like you like watch them like disappear from like a picture. All of a sudden they're like
oh, what the fuck?
phase out and you're like, oh, they're gone.
Well,
They never existed.
That is like the weapon, right? It's not phasing your men in. It's phasing their men out,
Yeah.
right? It's like
Right.
okay, so this is gonna mangle people that go through. Let's just teleport their whole base into fucking the fucking dark realm, and then they come back and they're all like mangling their machines and shit.
Yeah, we'll just teleport them right through the hole in the fucking universe we created with the atom bomb.
Yeah. Well, it's like really like
Create a hole and then you just launch people through it basically.
And we're going to get into the history of some government experiments now and where this kind of leads to. But again, this was 70 years ago.
Yeah.
So like the amount of technology, like the amount of like advancement since then is unheard of.
Like
in
they didn't
every single
like all this stuff too. They didn't just stop.
No.
Like that happened.
Oh,
It
no.
was freaky. They just were like, okay, we'd have to hide this better.
Gotta hide this and really start looking into it.
And we're onto something, guys.
So when skeptics might say that the Philadelphia experiment couldn't have happened, that the idea of men being fused with steel and losing time is too extreme, we have to ask, like, too extreme for who, right?
Yeah.
Because in the years that followed, 1943, after the World War II, the U.S. government carries out program after program involving mind control, psychic research, human experimentation, and space-time manipulation.
That's my thing, man. Like, oh, they wouldn't, like, the government wouldn't do that to people. Why would they do that to people? It's like, they'd do anything they fucking want. Hey, they'll do whatever the hell they want.
Because by the early...
Because they already have, and they still are.
By the early 50s, we got programs like Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. We talked about those in the Nazi Science episode, maybe 10 episodes back if you're interested, and I know y'all are listening. Please go back and check that out. That was a lot of grim research, and I tried to present it in a way that wasn't too horrible, but it was just a lot on my mind, that one specifically.
It reminds me, because we're all kind of just guinea pigs. We're all kind of like test rats. You know, I'm just a rat in a cage.
Just a rat in a cage.
You know,
test rat.
I'm a fucking rat in a cage, man.
Test rat.
But yeah, just listen to that song.
But they're
Think
like,
about it.
they're like, they're trying. That's where they're experimenting with this altered consciousness, using drugs like sodium, amyl, all these different drugs. I listed them out here.
Yeah.
But they're dealing all these different, with like picotoxin and stuff, electroshock, sleep deprivation, fucking vibration-based trauma.
Yeah.
This is all stuff they're doing in the early 50s. Just
it's
8
also
years,
when
7
they
years later.
changed the like standard frequency from like 442 to 440, which like that's not that much. It's
explain
major.
what
Look it
that
up.
means for a second.
Well, because I don't know if you haven't heard of it yet. I might be just repeating myself, but it's like they'll do these experiments with like frequencies. So they'll have these like subwoofer like speakers, and it'll be like sand or like on water, and you play 442 frequencies. These like divine frequencies, and it brings these beautiful patterns. It's like uniform and orderly.
Creates that sacred
like it look
geometry.
it's that sacred geometry. You'll see like the flower of life and like all these like geometric patterns we've seen all throughout history. It happens in nature. You like see these forms like the Fibonacci like golden ratio just is there. You change it just a couple like hertz, and all of a sudden it's just this chaos. Like
it goes
it's
from
just, it looks mad.
It goes from like
It looks
fractals
ugly and
to like
mad.
insane.
Yeah.
And that's to say that like you hearing that in your mind might shift everything. Then
it
and,
keeps
like,
everything chaotic, keeps things like out of order, but which is weird because this is like a time when like being like square and being like in order and like following the line was like cool. It's cool to like be like part of the status quo.
Yeah, you're an American. We're building something.
But yeah, we're all part of
here.
this.
Yeah.
Like you go out of the norm, and it's like, get out of here. What do you stop? You know? And like so, like to change it like that at that time is just an interesting thing. It's like an inverse of itself because you can just you get those frequencies going, and you can kind of just control people in that chaos because they're like mind and their energy's so out of whack that you just like put them in place wherever you want.
For those that are unsure of this, just go to YouTube and type in like peaceful just type in like some meditation stuff, like specific like best frequency for meditation, whatever it is, and it'll be like an hour or 2 hour long video, whatever. Just sit in that for a while, and you will feel if it's like that 442, if it's like
442
that
or like the like there's all these like angel hertz, like these like meditation, like binaural beats. Listen to that stuff, you're gonna feel good. You're gonna feel something, and you're gonna feel really like relaxed. If you like meditate with it, you're gonna like hit that like transcendental meditation.
In the Red Temple Oracle, I did actually assign each of the cards like a specific frequency for like the more ritual work, so you can like vibe with it a little more. Because that is like that's an actual thing, right?
It's a very real thing.
They also at this time they're doing experiments with soundproof rooms, right? That's where prisoners can hear their own blood pumping.
Yeah, you hear your eyes blinking.
They called it. At the time, there's like documents that they called it cooking the mind. That was to basically erase the person's identity and rebuild it. This is all just to say that this is all just
they would do this.
Yeah.
They would do this gruesome shit to people.
So sailors who emerged from the ship confused, disoriented, or mentally blocked, or with altered or open minds, were exposed to this by being exposed to these extreme electromagnetic fields. And it's not just possible; it's this established pattern.
It just is something. Not just like the U.S. government, but like just humans in general, like all powers that be are like get to this point where we're like, we need to advance so our enemies can't beat us. But like the enemy is kind of just like us. Then
like we actually just took in all the best, not like quote unquote bad, like most researched Nazis, right? These like the top guys. Best Nazi's a weird word.
Best guys. The best guys.
But I mean, it's like, you're trying to like fight the enemy. It's like, you just became the enemy. You just,
well, the other thing is, what is it? The like hero always like writes a story, you know what I mean? So like, you're gonna, if you're the winner. Yeah, the victor. The
victor writes the history.
Yeah. Because like, if you win, you're gonna paint the story as you being the good guy. And like, I guess we won. So that's the story. We're the good guy. I mean, we're not any part of this, but like,
and that's
like they're the good guy, like the government, the U.S. government, great, let's give them more power. They're good guys.
It's like, no, that's actually Nazis can be horrible, and then the government can also be horrible.
Like, it's like, we did good. We liberated the concentration camps. It's like, that's great, good.
It's like, hey, America, you have like concentration camps
we're gonna go
currently.
They're just called prison system, or they're just places nobody knows about.
I mean, there's actual
or Guantanamo Bay,
like that kind of stuff, you know.
There's like the deep underground military bases, the fucking whatever.
So
or just the public.
So
we're all being experimented on.
I remember we were looking over these defense. So I'm going to say DIA a lot. That stands for Defense Intelligence Agency. In 2010, they published a declassified technical report called "Transversible Wormholes, Stargates, and Negative Energy." The document was part of an advanced aerospace research program, and it proves in black and white that our government has taken the manipulation of space-time very, very fucking seriously. These documents are insane.
Like you can like not take this seriously and be like, oh, it's not that real. But like I promise you, there's people that have a lot of power that take it very seriously.
Yeah. There's science described in these DIA documents that matches almost exactly the kinds of extreme electromagnetic effects that we've already discussed around the USS Eldridge. The DIA reports confirm that Einstein's general theory of relativity allows for stable wormholes, hyperspace tunnels through space-time that can connect two locations in our universe, different universes, or different points in time. Right? These wormholes can actually be engineered, at least theoretically. We know how they would work, basically. So they're not talking about sci-fi. They're describing actual methods to bend space-time. And there's terms that come up like exotic matter. This is matter that contains like negative energy density, which violates normal physics. And it's like basically the idea is like forming this exotic matter into sacred geometric patterns, and that's how you get these metamaterials into these exotic patterns and everything. And that's how you do it. Apparently, that's
Yeah.
like what it seems like from all these reports, like in the simplest like term possible,
Yeah.
right? And these reports outline not only how wormholes could work, but how we might actually build one, right? And that's like, if the documents are
Malaysian
saying that
airline.
it's there, and we had the
It's a
tech to do
Malaysian
it,
airline.
yeah, it's like if we had tech to do it 70 years ago, and these documents from 15 years ago are saying we know how to, and it's like there's a line here,
Like,
right?
It's progressing, and it's like you don't just progress without doing these experiments.
Yeah. So the government
They're testing things. They're testing people.
through
They're just above the law, and
Through
they
these,
can
like,
trick
released-
everybody. Like,
Yeah,
they can
no.
trick you into thinking that it can't be real.
and they don't give a shit.
Because they do it with, like, it's like, oh, it's sci-fi, so they like, it's all put into these like sci-fi movies. So you're like, oh, that's just like this movie. That's not real.
Yeah.
It's like, well, no, the movie comes from the reality.
Like this is an idea that came from like
The movie's just showing you what's actually happening, and
Um,
just a different scene.
because at this point the government through their released documents that we've been able to unearth, basically they admit that negative energy can be created in a lab using electromagnetic fields, laser pulses, and quantum squeezing, they call it.
Ooh. Nice.
These fields can manipulate the quantum
Nice.
vacuum, which is the very structure of space-time itself. Again, that's where you get into that exotic matter and like specific patterns to break through that. We get these high-powered fields, much like those generated around the Eldritch, that can cause localized distortions in reality. So if we think back and we look at the Tesla coils, the high voltage electromagnetic generators, these rotating fields wrapped around the Eldritch's hull, they match up with the systems outlined in this report. And these systems they describe, they are like the early steps towards these wormhole construction. It seems like a lot of the information from the 2010 document is actually referencing stuff that's happening on the Eldritch, and they're like, this is like where, and you can see the tech. It's literally, it's like what you said. It's like this is like the like bootleg version we made, and then like we'd see these
Test
UAP
trial,
doing it.
Yeah, test trial 1.
Yeah, it's like now, or it's
Whoops.
like what? So it's like, were those things around the Malaysian airplane even UAP, or is that like some new tech that the government made? And it's just
most
like,
likely.
This is a teleport. This is like a thing.
And it like makes me think like the drones, all that like all this weird shit happening is like this weird. I don't know. That's like the fog too.
Yeah.
Not to get too off on a tangent, but like the fog is like a defense like system against like direct energy weapons.
Sure.
So you got the fog, you got these like planes falling out of the sky. It's like there's like there's shit going on right now.
Yeah.
And
There was like
whether it's experiments on these like weapons or if it's just like they're fully in action, fully functioning. Like I don't know.
I think like both. Like I think that
Because the fog rolls in, start like LA burns down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's too. I don't know. It's all adding up into things that are currently happening, and it makes me feel like I'm insane. But hey, man.
2025's been
Hey,
nuts
man.
so far.
Hey,
but
man.
so like, if the Navy, even if they just stumbled upon these effects in 1943, even if they really weren't trying to go for it, which I think they really were trying to do it, right?
Yeah.
Like at least to like, why else would they have all this stuff on this ship, right? Doesn't make any sense. Even without fully understanding it, the Philadelphia experiment is probably like at least like the accidental birth of engineering space-time manipulation.
Yeah.
Like if it's like either accidental or like purpose, like that seems like where I can pretty easily point to. That's like where they did it. Maybe not even first. There's probably like experiments within a lab, like small scale stuff.
Yeah.
It's like moving an apple, like in, and it's like, oh,
Like,
that thing is like,
okay.
yeah, all right.
Let's do this. Let's see how humans and their consciousness works with this. Because the people that go missing, disappearing from this, I imagine are like we're being studied. You know, people that like went insane. It's like, well, let's just study what went wrong, what we can do next time.
Yeah, like
how can you fix someone if they've like gone bananas?
no
you
man,
know?
they were dissecting these people 100%. They took them off the
dude.
ship, like
doing weird experiments
yeah,
from there.
fucking-
Like
yeah, dude, trying to
you
like
get them off there and then you just fucking hit them with X-rays and fucking
like what are the
zap
chances that
them
they're
and
trying
shit.
to like basically have their brain like open for like work while the guy's like alive? You know what I mean? I can see them like
yeah, dude.
just taking the skull cap off, and they're just like, "Is this that?"
Yeah.
Like trying to see the
Like,
internal.
can we reconnect this to?
Yeah.
Oh, like these brain neurons are like all fucked up now. Can we like reconnect them? Like, yeah, man.
I have just a quote from the DIA report that I thought was cool. Wormholes allow for travel between different dimensions and times. Their entry, and this is again from a government document. Wormholes allow
This
for
is
travel between different dimensions and times. Their entry and exit points can be flat, spherical, cubic, or irregular. They produce no crushing gravity and no event horizon. travel through them can appear faster than light to outside observers.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly like what the eyewitnesses described in the Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Again, this document is not a theory. It's a formal, funded, technical report from the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, and it proves that the U.S. military not only explored wormholes, but understands how to begin generating the conditions necessary to actually create one.
Which, to me, means they've already done it.
Yes. This means everything about the Philadelphia experiment,
did it.
the vanishing ship, the distorting crew, the ripping of space-time.
Yeah.
This has a scientific foundation that our own government acknowledges like 70 years later now.
Yeah.
Right?
And you just can't acknowledge it in the moment because there was like human loss. It fucked people up. So you can't like admit like, oh, we were doing this, because then you're at fault.
Yeah. 70 years later, it's like, well,
because they it's like these powers, like they almost have no laws, and they're kind of above it, but they all, like, in the eyes of the public, when there's enough evidence against them, like they have to like be within these certain rules to like not,
they're like doing just enough to skate by. Right?
Yeah, to just be like, we're fine. And that's why you can't really talk about it until like 70 years after, because I mean,
again, like,
got away
if
with
the
it.
military was already experimenting with this kind of tech in 1943, 70 years ago, what else have they been building since then? That's like the question at the end of this episode really is. It's like, where are we at with all this stuff? Like, where does that leave us? We started with this ship that vanished into the middle of a war.
Yeah.
That vanished in the middle of the war. We followed its path through the electromagnetic fields, this dispersing into green mist and maybe folding into space-time itself.
Yeah.
Right? Then we kind of went over these like rumors, these classified science and stuff that is acknowledged now.
Yeah. That aligns with all these happenings.
And then we basically see it again and again and again through things like Project Rainbow, MK Ultra, Stargate, and this DIA wormhole report.
Yep.
There's like an extreme pattern like here. Where like basically it's what you're saying. Every few decades we are able to pull back this curtain just enough to like glimpse the larger
people that were
system.
there originally are like no longer alive anymore. They're all gone. And it's like, well, that happened 70 years ago. Oh, that's so far away now. That's a generation or two away.
Yeah.
Well,
all like your grandson knows about is like my grandpa was in the war.
Yeah.
He died in the war.
Lost him in the war. We got like a MIA.
Yeah.
Medal.
Just gone, right? But this is like we're seeing these glimpses of this larger system, right? And this is like what I love to lay into. This is like where the alchemy stuff came in, like where it's this blend of like science and magic and like psychology and physics into this single fucking question. Right?
Well, also like I can't get over the fact that it was the USS Eldridge.
Yeah, Eldridge. Eldridge.
Okay.
Which I think is someone's last name, but no, it's like Eldridge. It's fun. It's like crazy because it's
like because they went to like
They went to like the Cthulhuid plane.
Yeah. Like that's kind of what it sounds like.
They like saw everything that Lovecraft.
And then these like unspeakable horrors, like they come back and you're, you know what an unspeakable horror is? Getting your fucking body half melded into a fucking metal.
Yeah, it's an excellent body horror, like cosmic horror. Story that is also real.
Yeah, it also is what happened.
So I like that about it. I mean, it's very cool. Like I look back and it's like me and my dad are watching this on the History Channel when I'm like 11, and it's like this is a bizarre thing to be showing everybody and for nobody to care.
Yeah, to be like on like the most boring. It's like super boring. It's like your dad puts it on to like fall asleep. Yeah, takes a nap, and you're like kind of also taking a nap, and you're like, wait, what is this though?
Yeah,
and then you look into it, then you like see all the things happening in like the current events, and you're like, okay, well, it seems like it's all connected. You know what I mean? Like it's all
right there. It's that you're seeing this larger system at play, right?
Yeah. Well, there's like these pieces playing, and it's like, well, shit. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do?
Yeah, that's all we can. It's like I was excited to cover this. Almost since we did like the Nazi wormhole stuff on the Patreon, I was like, okay, I remember this when I was a kid. It's just bizarre, and it's like we're kind of at the end of like my research here. This is just like kind of wrapping up. I don't know, final thoughts, anything?
I don't know. It's just weird, man. I think like anytime we like hear about these stories that happened generations ago, like these experiments, these like tests that happened, like they didn't just stop. And no one was like held accountable for it. People went missing. Shit happened. There's these accounts, and no one was like held to blame. No
Everybody
one,
that
paid
would be
for it.
held accountable was like either promoted or
Yeah.
like just put deeper into like
Yeah,
whatever.
they're like
you know.
deep underground military
yeah.
bases. They're like getting Starbucks and McDonald's and a mile or two underneath us.
Mm-hmm. God, I
Have you heard those stories?
Yeah.
About like the people he's like, yeah, I worked at the Starbucks in the deep underground military bases, and it's like, wait, what? It's like, yeah, there's like a whole civilization down there, breakaway civilization. It's like, okay, well,
I was getting into like
what?
not kind of
Yeah.
separate from this, but talking about like DUMBs, like these deep underground things. There are these specific research labs that are built like miles underground, and that's where they're doing some of like the hadron collider stuff. All these like different, but like, damn. Like to have to, because that's like it's when it's like necessary to do the experiments miles below the surface to like make sure shit doesn't get fucked up.
Well, what's happening?
Yeah,
Like shit's probably still getting fucked up. Is that where like the Mandela effect comes from too? You break these like wormholes and like switch these realities, you take people in and out of time and space. It's gonna like change
so this
time and space for a lot
does
of people,
fold
right?
into. There's a whole side of this that I didn't cover.
Yeah.
It's its own story. It's about Montauk. Have you heard of that at all?
Yeah.
That's basically what Stranger Things is based on.
Yeah.
Which is what this is. This like
Montauk
wormhole.
monster?
Yeah. Well, that's like a smaller part of it.
Yeah,
That's like that specifically is like I think like a dead raccoon that was found like pretty recently. But like Montauk is like a government base where they were working with these same tech here.
Yeah.
And it's this underground place, and it's like, okay, I don't know. Didn't even. We'll do like a different episode on that, I guess. But I'm like, wow, there's so much wormhole shit going on.
Guess
in the
beam me
government.
up.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me see. I guess like we're just using everybody as lab rats. I guess like let's go. Let me see something cool.
Yeah. We got to keep.
I'll come back and report back, guys. Like,
we'll be sure to report back if our brains aren't mashed potatoes at that point. Yeah.
Completely bananas.
If I come in,
I'm gonna start saying like
I'm not gonna be able to come to the studio if I'm half of a ship.
Yeah. Or if I go complete bananas.
If my head's on a dog body.
yeah. If I'm not just
my head's on a dog body.
Just melded into a fucking iron.
Yeah. Insane stuff.
Yeah.
This was a fun one to research, and just like I love like connecting documents and stuff from previous reports into this, because I was like some of the stuff I wasn't able to find anywhere else online. It was like these connections that I was able to create, which is cool because it's like real, and it's like this pattern that keeps on coming up.
Just like this like hyper bizarre stuff that like is just a matter of fact happen is like my favorite shit, because
high strangeness pushed into like mundane, like into like the most mundane like thing.
Yeah, man.
Just like I don't know. Well, anyway, that's been the Philadelphia
nice.
experiment. I'm sure we'll do some recaps on this in the future.
Yeah, we'll have to do
just
a part 2 or something eventually. Revisit.
You can join the cult of the Star Mother. Well, you already are in the cult if you listen. But join further levels by joining the Patreon. Patreon.com/Pumpkin Hill Radio. If you're interested in more of this stuff, we did, I believe the Patreon episode 5 or 6 is like the part 2 of the Nazi stuff. And we get way into the remote viewing and people like remote viewing different dimensions using this kind of tech. Really cool stuff if you're interested. I will say right now, the Patreon is only $1 for like one more person if you want.
Get it.
We have the first 10 people that get in, it's $1. We have a few people that subscribe to higher tiers, so that's still available for you. If you're listening and that's already gone, $5 is an excellent price for how much stuff you're going to get over there. Go ahead and rate and review us. If you love this show, if you love this story, give us 5 stars. Tell your friends to rate and review us. It just really helps to like reach more listeners. I've been like a lot of people have been bringing their friends in and telling their friends to listen, and I can see those numbers go up. So everybody telling people, thank you. I want everybody to hear this stuff because it's
shouts
super
out Robbie
interesting.
for the shirt.
Yeah, shouts out Rob.
Code Flawed.
Code Flawed.
Cool shirt. Thanks, Robbie.
Local Denver metal band.
If you're listening, Robbie, what up? Thanks for the shirt, man.
Yeah, dude.
Shouts out.
It's good on you. My wife basically co-opted my shirt. I like wearing it, and she was like, "I'll just wear that."
That's her.
She's like in a crop it. I'm like, "Yeah, I guess you could just if you really like it." Yeah. Yeah, rate and review us. If you have your own paranormal experience, if you have some topic ideas, anything you want to tell us, pumpkinhillradio@gmail.com. Take a look around the Etsy store for pins, prints, stickers, all this kind of stuff. Use code SECRET for 25% off orders of $25 or more. And again, sign up for our monthly newsletter. We're not going to blast your inbox. Just once a month, you're going to get these updates. You're going to see what we're working on in the show, where we're trying to take these ideas. You'll get access to the giveaway, or just check the Instagram for that. Because again, that's happening tomorrow and every month after this. You're going to want to get in on this.
Get involved, baby.
Well, yeah, the most important thing is to tell your friends and just stay really weird out there. You know?
Yeah.
I think that's probably...
Believe.
That's probably it.
Believe it.
Let's see. Anything else? I think that's it.
Yeah,
Thanks. This has been a good one. This has been Pumpkin Hill Radio. I am Travis Wormwood, and that's Dawson Trailer. And
Love
yeah, bye.
Bye. I love you.